Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well, hope you're all doing fantastic, hope you've all been good and that you're all having a great day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Just woke up, I mean not like 4 seconds ago, but I mean, you know, it's still pretty. Anyway, so if I sound crazy, it's just because I woke up and, you know, that's just how life is. Without any further ado, jump right into it. We're getting a lot of like revelatory news, if you can say that. So basically what's been happening the last 2 weeks or so is that a lot of people have been looking through SEC filings for the Bitcoin ETFs to see exactly who is investing in them. Up until now, a large portion of the investments were more or less secret, but for some reason the last 2 weeks they're all kind of pouring out and everyone is finding out exactly who's been buying up these ETFs since around the beginning or middle of January. It says new documents reveal that financial services giant Morgan Stanley is holding hundreds of millions of dollars worth of spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds. According to data from market insights firm Fintel, the Wall Street giant recently disclosed its holdings to the regulatory agency, revealing that on the 15th of May, what do they call it? Yeah, Morgan Stanley purchased 4.27 million shares. That's insane. 4.27 million shares of the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, worth 269.8 million US dollars. So a couple of things are happening here. If you've been missing the last week or two of videos, we are getting a lot of banks buying Bitcoin news. I've already ranted about it. I don't have to do it again. It's hyper significant in that years ago, the idea of a bank being in the cryptocurrency space was something that didn't exist, especially as nearly, if not all of them, talked negatively constantly about Bitcoin. We're now seeing a huge slew of them moving into the space quite rapidly in and I want to say a hush-hush manner. The annoyances, and this will probably always be a thing, is that none of this will ever be reported on actual mainstream news places. Like for some reason, we've also been having news that a number of countries are buying more. We're getting not even rumors anymore of like nations who are also buying Bitcoin. Apparently, they're working with BlackRock directly to buy up tons of Bitcoin. The interesting part is that that doesn't make it onto normal news. And I think that more everyday people would probably freak out and buy Bitcoin if they knew that all these banks, all these institutions were getting into the space, especially countries buying Bitcoin as well. The other weird part, for those of you who haven't been here, these companies are mainly, not exclusively, but mainly buying from 3 different companies. I believe there are 9 different companies in the United States who have approval to do the whole ETF thing. But for some reason, all these banks are just filing that they've bought through BlackRock, Fidelity, and also Grayscale. If you understand why Grayscale is weird, it's because the other companies have a fee when you use them of around 0.35%, 0.25%. Some of them have even waived their fees until they have more than $6 billion, like literally $6 billion worth of Bitcoin. Grayscale still has a fee of 1.5%. And that's really high. So the news that people continuously buy with them is very odd, and I don't know what the discussions are behind the scenes. We also got news before that Grayscale recently launched a mini Bitcoin trust. So it's the same thing as their ETF. It doesn't have the letters ETF, but it is a Bitcoin trust where they are buying and accumulating Bitcoin. But the fee for that is 0.15. And we've heard thus far no news about the Grayscale mini trust. But we're hearing a huge amount of news about the Grayscale Bitcoin trust or the Grayscale Bitcoin ETF. So, it's the news is slightly odd. Also, just going to throw it out there. The constant doubting the market when we're getting all this news constantly is still a little bit weird. I'm just going to say it. It says, and I quote, Morgan Stanley has disclosed 7,816 total holdings in their latest SEC filings. Most recent portfolio value is calculated to what? What? Most recent portfolio value is calculated to be, that's 100,000 million. What? That number can't be right. It says their most recent portfolio value is calculated to be $1.2 trillion. Morgan Stanley's new positions include Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust. We've heard about we've heard about JP Morgan Chase. We heard about the Bank of Montreal, I think a day or two ago as well. It's a whole list. I don't have it next to me. And off the top of my head, some of the names are a little bit too out there to remember. But yeah, I guess this just should be expected news at this point. We should all understand that these banks and these companies, silly me, for having been screaming into a microphone the last 3 or 4 years that all these companies are buying. But now that we even have proof and information that they're definitely in the market, I find it very weird that people are ignoring this. You realize you didn't hear me say that this was the most popular news story of the day. A large portion of the news right now is hyper fixated on Bitcoin passing its previous all-time high or getting a brand new all-time high or going to $89,000 and all these kinds of other numbers and figures, as opposed to people being like, wait, all these companies basically bought in secret and are still accumulating. I don't have it in this video, but there's more ETF accumulation news. I think I believe it's the last 7 or 8 days, the levels of accumulation are beginning to pump back up to what they were before. Yeah, very interesting. I always say this, but it's a very interesting time to be in the market. Everything has completely shifted. We are in a whole different universe than where we were 2 years ago. I find it incredibly weird that the news that we're getting about massive accumulation from these giants, from these behemoths, monoliths within the financial industry, doesn't even make popular news. And if the price falls by 4 or 5% over the course of a 3-day period, the news automatically becomes very negative, as opposed to being like, what's the next step after this? If they're buying up all this Bitcoin and there's not a lot left, where does that leave everyone else? But maybe that's a bit too complex. I honestly do not know. Yeah, that's the Morgan Stanley and a bunch of other gigantic banks around the world are revealing that they own huge amounts of Bitcoin. Yeah. Let's move on. Also, this was a really weird thing. Coinbase a number of years ago, it was lightly revealed that allegedly, Coinbase kind of favored Ethereum. We got this report a number of times where people were asking, you might remember, people were asking them to list coins, and they were only listing Ethereum coins. There were rumors, and I think maybe even a news story a long time ago about apparently that the CEO of Coinbase really liked Ethereum far more than Bitcoin. We don't hear these things as much anymore because there was a lot of backlash for whatever reason. I mean, 2017, 2018 was a little insane. If you said you liked any coin that wasn't Bitcoin, people would literally scream in your face. I remember because I remember seeing all the comments. We're getting a lot of analysis, if you will, about how well Ethereum is going to do. I don't know if it's because if you actually look at the price charts, Ethereum's doing well, but not that well. If you have a chance to look at any of the price charts, wherever you get your price numbers from, and you look at the 6-month chart to the 1-year chart, Bitcoin and many other altcoins are really outperforming Ethereum right now. But there's a lot of news speculation that Ethereum's getting ready to like hyper rebound. We're getting a lot of Ethereum to $10,000 in 2024 type of news. It says although Ethereum has underperformed year to date, Coinbase's analysis suggests Ethereum will perform better in the second half of 2024. People are still talking about an Ethereum spot ETF getting approved. Okay, as far as I understand it, I think is it about to rain? It was sunny like 3.5 seconds ago, and the whole room got dark, and I was like, what the? It's not a bird. Like, birds can't block out the sun. Okay, the sky's kind of gray. The discussion has kind of, I think, drifted away, unless I'm unaware of the idea of an Ethereum ETF anymore, especially as the SEC is trying their darndest to get Ethereum classified as a security. Even this says, and a high possibility of a successful lawsuit if rejected. The problem is lawsuit maybe by the companies because no one from Ethereum can do it. The current situation that we are in is that allegedly the SEC is going exclusively after every single company who has anything to do with Ethereum, Consensus, the Ethereum Foundation. This is the news that we've been getting, etc., etc. So if an ETF is rejected, they can't file. That would definitely show that they have a higher control over Ethereum than previously expected. So it would have to probably be a company or something like that. I believe that BlackRock has also applied for an Ethereum ETF, and the likelihood of them getting rejected is incredibly low. But yeah, there's a lot of Ethereum's going to do better over the second half of the year kind of news. But to be fair, we're also getting that about Bitcoin as well. I don't have a lot of that in the news anymore because I think it becomes quite daunting to hear about that constantly over and over, how well Bitcoin's going to do. The optimism is sky high. You would not believe. People still are reporting and saying, and their analysis is showing. I just saw one a couple of minutes ago that Bitcoin has done the golden cross. I think it took like 6 months from the previous time to move back up, and Bitcoin since the previous golden cross has gone up by 170%. I believe that's the number. And the indicators are showing that Bitcoin has passed by the golden cross again, therefore setting up for the next 6 months in front of us of another 100 or 200% movement up. They're also saying the exact same thing for multiple different altcoins. It depends on where you're really getting your news, where you're looking. If you're on Reddit, if you're on Twitter, if you're looking some other place, some other website. All the indicators, as far as I'm currently reading, are showing or telling or saying that if Bitcoin goes above X number, there's always a number. If Bitcoin goes above this, if Bitcoin goes above this, if Bitcoin goes above this, then all the other coins will move as well. These numbers tend to be correct. If you follow the news for a last, I want to say 2 or 3 years, a lot of times we will get news. If Bitcoin maintains above 13,000 for a week, this is the new bottom. Bitcoin's going to 19,000. They tend to be correct. So The current numbers that we are looking for, unless I am mistaken, and I believe it's over $90,000 per Bitcoin, because this indicates that 100,000 is nigh and that the other altcoins are also going to be pumping as well. However, there still is a large amount of Ethereum doing well, Ethereum doing better, Ethereum going to $10,000 per coin before this year is over news. It's all over the place. Yeah, that's the Coinbase analysis about Ethereum news. And yeah, let's move on. So this news was actually more popular than hearing that Morgan Stanley owns hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. I mean, I understand why this news, I think I do kind of, why this news was popular. But this also is kind of like a Cathie Wood kind of thing. I'll explain in 1 second, I promise. MicroStrategy, the company famous for its massive Bitcoin holdings, has been added to the MSCI World Stock Index. The move reflects the increasing acceptance of cryptocurrency in the traditional investment portfolio. So a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, similar to like news in 2019 that just didn't make any sense, a lot of our news was heavily dominated by Cathie Wood's company. What is it called? Micro Invest? No, Smaller Invest? Why don't I know the name of this company? And that basically they were buying a huge amount of Coinbase stock. A lot of people, a lot of websites began to report on it in a way that said, like, if Cathie Wood is buying this much Coinbase stock, that means Coinbase is going to do well. If Coinbase does well, then Bitcoin does well. And that got people really optimistic, but that's not how it works. Bitcoin is not Coinbase and Coinbase is not Bitcoin. The same exact way that JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley are not the US dollar. They deal with it, but it's not, you know, if those banks do badly, the US dollar is not going to also tumble as well. And that's a lot of the issues that we've had to kind of deal with in the cryptocurrency space, where people misconstrue, especially years ago. It was terrible. It was absolutely horrible, where we would get news a lot of times. And I mean, this, no, stop it. No, this still happens now. You know how like a lot of times we get news that Coinbase is down, Coinbase isn't working, and then Bitcoin's price falls down? I literally don't understand why people do that. Is there some kind of miscommunication as to what people think Bitcoin actually is? The issues years ago were if Coinbase reported that they were down for maintenance, like literally not a random outage, they said, hey, we're going to be offline for about 6 hours while everyone's sleeping so we can fix some stuff, Bitcoin's price would go down. People would start panicking online that their coins may be lost and gone forever. And I'm like, what's happening? The same thing used to happen with Binance. And then this is when Changpeng Zhao, I mean, he would have to like talk every hour on Twitter to be like, hey, everything's fine. Everything's okay. 4 hours left, because people panic so quickly. So now we have a situation where, and it's odd, MicroStrategy is a very popular company in the stock market, but also in the cryptocurrency world because of how much crypto that they own. But a lot of the MicroStrategy news as of late recently has had to do with their stock. There was one a couple of, I think 3 weeks ago when Bitcoin went down in price. And I think the MicroStrategy stock also went down in price. And there were literally articles saying like MicroStrategy stock is going down. Like this won't bode well for Bitcoin. And I'm like, no. Like we're tying up all the cables once again that don't have to be tied up, because MicroStrategy is not Bitcoin. So the news literally is that MicroStrategy has been put onto a stock index. It's a website where you can go see the price of their stock. That's it. And of course, this made very popular news because the cryptocurrency space, I think, doesn't know what popular news is or what it should be. It even says the company is currently holding, 214,400 Bitcoin, purchased at an average price of $35,180 per coin. They are fighting to be the most bullish company in the cryptocurrency space. I no longer doubt their bullishness. It's absolutely fantastic and wonderful. But one of the most popular news stories of the day is a little bit intense. So cool. Awesome for them being put onto a website. So yeah, that's the MicroStrategy news. Moving along. Also, in altcoins coming back with a vengeance, Binance has burned additional Terra Luna Classic tokens after their monthly Luna Classic burn. The crypto exchange burned 1.4 billion Luna Classic tokens in its 21st batch of Luna Classic burns. After the latest Binance burn, the total number of Luna Classic tokens burned by Binance is now 59 billion tokens. Look at us being back in 2021 and 22 all over again. Terra Luna Classic and Shiba Inu are popping back up in the news all the time once again. For those of you who don't know, these coins are popular because, you know, a lot of things can be popular. But the weirdness lies in the fact that, how do I say this? We've heard before that these coins were going to do something. And it's not that they are not doing something, but the 95% of the reason why they're typically in the news has to do with their coins being burned. Terra Luna Classic is the offspring of Terra Luna, the coin that collapsed, was it like 2-3 years ago at this point? Because time is flying by. What ended up happening was a new coin, Terra Luna Classic, was made, and people believe, this is, you know, not to say this is going to be reality, but a lot of people believe that Terra Luna Classic can hit $1 again. That's the generalized idea. And since then, they said, hey, the way that we can do this a lot easier is if we implement a burn for the coin. So they have a whole bunch of crypto exchanges as these coins are moving within their systems. These crypto exchanges said, okay, cool, we will burn coins for you. On the actual blockchain, there's also burns going on per transaction. And then you also have the same exact thing for Shiba Inu. It's literally like a burn contest. I don't know, you know. So we have heard over the years that allegedly these coins were going to have enhanced ecosystems. And I mean, Shiba Inu does kind of have them, but we haven't had Shiba Inu metaverse, NFTs. What are the other things? Smart contracts, the second and third layer solutions that they have news in a while. The news is constantly just the burn. For those of you who don't know the number, for Shiba Inu, they say that if they burn enough coins, they can get the coin to 1 cent. It's literally a rehashing of the Dogecoin story from a number of years ago. And yeah, the news is constantly that this is the thing for these coins. We did not hear about them for about a good year and a half. And now as all the altcoins are popping back in the news as the market looks like it's going to be hyper recovering, you know, this is what we get. This is the Terra Luna Classic Binance burn news, monthly burn news. Heaven help us if this coin actually gets anywhere near $1. It is probably going to take over like the majority of the news in the cryptocurrency space. This coin has been popular for a while. That's the Terra Luna Classic and Binance news. And yeah, let's move on. Also, whoa, there we go. Also in, I guess, news, this is also a bit of a rehashing of news since around, I want want to say 2017, 2018. Bringing us into 2024, the Securities and Exchange Board of India, known as SEBI, S-E-B-I, has proposed a collaborative effort among regulators to oversee cryptocurrency trading on Thursday. While the Reserve Bank of India, the RBI, is seeking a stablecoin ban. Let's work backwards. If you haven't been here in the last month, or if you have been, you must remember stablecoin evil, banks good. That's basically been the news that's been popping up, where we have heard that Visa and MasterCard and JP Morgan Chase and I think 2 other countries, and also one who, just blatantly lied right to our faces, are now announcing that stable coins are evil and terrible because they're trying to create their own stable coins. And we've seen many other banks also announcing in the last couple of weeks that they're making their own. So what's happening is that, for those of you who don't know, India is actually doing like really well right now. There were wagers a number of years ago as to which country could potentially become larger than the U.S. over the course of the next couple of decades. And the contenders were mainly India and, oh gosh, I just lost the other one. Oh, and China. India, China. There were discussions about Russia. That was a lie several times over. The Russian economy is, and then there were also ideas of the European Union potentially completely taking over or, surpassing the US dollar. That's also not looking too hot either because of a lot of events. However, India keeps rising in the ranks amongst GDP and other countries. Also, the amount of peoples in India continues to rise, and it is expected. If you get a chance, if you want to see some stuff, find documentaries on the population of a number of Indian cities. It is going to make your head spin. I thought like 4, 5, 6, 7 million people in a city was a lot. No, you should really watch some of them. And it's expected that a number of these in the year 2050 are probably going to rise another 30 to 50% in population, and that many people all working is going to hyper boost the economy. So India has been dealing with this. It's not an identity crisis. It's more like a getting it together crisis, as far as they see that they're advancing to a level where they could potentially become one of the, if not eventually the largest economy on the planet. So it does, of course, make sense why their central bank is trying to propose a stablecoin ban, because we've heard a lot of news before that allegedly a lot of people within India are actually choosing to use Bitcoin and or stable coins as opposed to their local currency because of inflation, because of other problems before in the past. One of the greater question marks in the sky has been if people in India would be able to actually get into crypto. Why? With a population of, I think it's 1.5 billion people now. Can you conceive of that number walking around on land? 1.5 billion people. It's estimated that if cryptocurrencies were regulated properly within the country, we'd probably have 10% of people within India moving into our market legally. That would be 150 million people, which actually surpasses the number of people estimated to be into Bitcoin right now. Therefore, money goes in, price goes up. But since 2017, 2018, India has been basically doing nothing when it comes to cryptocurrency regulations. I think they released how much people have to pay for taxes, and then that's been about it. So it looks like we're constantly moving forward to actually regulating crypto within India, potentially seeing 100 million, 150 million plus people entering our market. So to be clear, there are already people in crypto in India, but it's gray, like dark gray. As far as we've heard that Binance has gotten in trouble, a number of other crypto exchanges who were working in India have had to leave. And the ones who are working there, apparently you have to call the government like every 18 and a half minutes to make sure that you're not doing something illegal and that you're not going to get in trouble. So we've been dealing with this for a while, and it makes sense why the government would be hyper cautious. If you are on the cusp of, or decade cusp of becoming one of the largest economies on the planet, and the indicators are all there that you're going to continue doing strong, and you see that people are choosing Bitcoin over your local currency, of course you would be hyper wary. The Securities and Exchange Board of India's proposition signals a willingness to embrace private virtual assets, an approach previously not seen in India. The Reserve Bank of India sees private digital currencies as a potential macroeconomic risk, however. If you haven't been paying attention, yes, our market's doing incredibly well. We are permeating everywhere. We are digging roots deep into the traditional financial space. And if we continue to do well, we are going to continue to rattle and shake the world's economy as more and more money flows into our market. That is the THEEE significance of us getting to a $100,000 Bitcoin, to us getting to a $250,000 Bitcoin. If Bitcoin continues to do well and other people around the world continue to put money into it and it does weller and the price continues to go up, the people who print the money, well, the people who print the money have the power. If you are printing the money but no one's buying the monies and they're buying Bitcoin instead, yeah. As per the Reuters report, these suggestions were made to a government panel tasked with formulating policy for the finance ministry to consider. A lot of this is nonsense. Nonsense. That's not how you say nonsense, by the way, in French. It's just more of a, in 2019 and 2020 and 2021 and 2022, there were already bills that were drafted that actually made it to Parliament. The problem is that they went to Parliament and then went nowhere. You might remember, if you've been here for a while, we had, it was the biggest news of the week. It was literally like on Friday, this will be voted on. It's Tuesday, Friday's coming. It's Wednesday, everyone get ready. It's Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. It's Friday. So it's Monday now, but nothing happened on Friday. We've had news about 4 years plus in a row that bills have been drafted to regulate cryptocurrencies in India. The bills went to Parliament and no one looked at them and they were thrown out. So it does make sense. It's terrible from the perspective of hey, just allow people to do what they kind of want to do, but we know that's not reality. From governments, if you will. Yeah, here's even a chart of the world's largest economies. India's doing mighty well as of late. And it's expected that they're going to become the third largest economy very, very soon. Yeah. Here's also an article from 2018. Dashing the hopes of cryptocurrency regulations in 20. It's been a constant that we've been dealing with. I'm not even in India, but there have been a number of places where people are like, if we can get regulation in these countries, cryptocurrency basically prices, literally skyrocket, not figuratively, like they go to the actual moon, but the only difference is that without the regulation, it just takes us longer to get there. With the regulation, we get there a lot sooner. So, regardless of what happens, Bitcoin is still going to hit 100K and Bitcoin is going to $1 million. But, 150 million extra people into our market. would, of course, accelerate that by a lot. I think that's going to do it for this video. I do sincerely hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.